Shellshock presents.
Ready?
Sharing with Shellshock Season 4.
New Age of Heroes.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Sharing with Shellshock. I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and we are here with a big episode once again. We got 3 returning guests, and we got a new guest tonight as well for the first time. But joining me first is Steven Swan. Welcome back.
Hello.
And good to have you back as well, Eddie.
Hello, hello.
And the same thing goes for you, Ben. Good to have you back.
Up. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Yep. And joining me for the first time, we got Johan Singa. Welcome.
Good to see you guys. Looking forward to a good chat today.
Yep. I'm looking forward to a good chat as well with all 4 of you. It's going to be fantastic. So we definitely have a lot to talk about. But first and foremost, before we get into talking about beat 'em ups, Steve, remind everybody what you do.
I mostly have a podcast with one of our other guys called Zen's Path. We do zenspath.com, and we're actually going to be doing our 200th episode in a few weeks.
Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Nice.
Awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What about you, Eddie?
Just a retro modern variety streamer, a gamer. I usually stream on Twitch. Play everything from beat 'em ups, platformers, first person shooters. What is it? Boomer shooters? Is that what they call them from back in the days?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where you can find me, mostly on Twitch.
Awesome. What about you, Ben?
I feel so out of place being the only one not using a webcam. Anyway, to answer the question, I am a variety streamer on Twitch. I focus predominantly on Nintendo games. I have reached out to Steam and PS4 every so often.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm mainly just the kind of guy who will focus mostly on Pokemon, Mario, Zelda. If it's on Nintendo, you're generally going to find me there most of the time.
Yep, 100%. And what about you, Johan?
I'm basically a variety streamer. So what I do now for my channel, because I've gone through a few phases of burnouts and stuff as well, is that I've separated my content where for the first and third weeks of the month, I'll be doing strictly gaming or community-based content. So, fighting games, beat 'em ups, visual novels, modern retro games, community stuff as well. I don't know, marbles on stream, maybe a bit of Jackbox, maybe a bit of Gaggle or something like that will happen during the first and third weeks of the month.
Yep.
And then during the second and fourth weeks of the month, it is what I call my performing weeks, where I would be streaming. I would be doing karaoke streams using the Karaoke Joy Sound for Nintendo Switch app,
Yep.
as well as Just Dance streams as well. So those usually happen during the second and fourth weeks of the month, and then the first and third weeks are gaming. So pretty much a variety streamer in that sense. So yeah.
Awesome.
Good to
Sounds
see
good.
you guys. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, good stuff.
Cool.
So there has been a bunch of side scrolling beat 'em ups over the years, but there's also been 3D beat 'em ups. And one of the earliest beat 'em ups that I know that had started what the genre was Kung Fu Master, or in Japan it was known as Spartan X, which is based on a Jackie Chan movie also known as Meals on Wheels or Wheels on Meals.
Meals on Wheels, I think. Yeah.
And that game was ported to the NES by Nintendo. The game was originally from Irem. Nintendo ported the game to the NES, and it was a launch title in North America. It was just called Kung Fu. But it's the exact same game. So that game came out in '84 in the arcades, and then it came out in '85 on the NES, which is pretty interesting. And there has been multiple series like Double Dragon. You have the Kunio Kun series, or River City. You have Final Fight. You also have licensed games like Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, Marvel, Sailor Moon, and so much more. The list goes on and on. Like even The Simpsons got to beat them up, which is amazing. Um, they'll pretty much just make anything into a beat 'em up, and a lot of people tend to have fun with it. Um, so Steve, we're gonna start with you on this one. What was the first beat 'em up that you played that you remember, or at least that you remember playing?
It was mostly in the arcades, but I think that's where I got my first exposure to it, and I think it comes down to at least two early ones, and it was Bad Dudes from Data East,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
they
nice.
had that arcade machine. So that's where I got the side scrolling beat 'em up, but then the belt scroller I got from Double Dragon. That was the one that ate all my quarters, because that one I really wanted to play through because the music was fantastic on that one.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
So those two got me into it, and of both different genres of the beat 'em ups.
Yep.
And from there, I was just like, what other ones could they do? And Data East never let me down when it came to beat 'em ups.
Yeah. What about you, Eddie? What was the first one that you played that, or at least that you remember playing?
So the first one that I remember playing for sure was Double Dragon on the NES.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but I wasn't in love with it either. It was just a very difficult game. Great music, like I love the story and everything, and like the characters and everything was pretty cool. But the one that like made me fall in love was definitely Final Fight
Mm-hmm.
on the arcade. Like that was the one for me that where I just every time we would go do laundry, I would just ask my mom for like, can I get $5? It's not even like I need $5. Like I don't need 2 quarters. I don't need like I need to make
20
sure that
quarters.
I try to to play this game as much as I can so that I can beat it or at least get to what's his Abigail before I get my ass kicked and then I'm like, well, I'm out of quarters.
Oh yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, that would be the one for me.
All right. What about you, Ben? What was the first one that you remember playing?
The arcade version of TMNT, the one where you start off with the burning building
Yes.
and the iron balls going down the stairs. Yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
one I remember. At least as far as arcade goes. As far as NES goes, Double Dragon 2.
Double Dragon 2 is a good one. Johan?
Yeah, pretty much the same as Ben in that sense. Although my first experience with TMNT 2, the arcade game, was actually on the NES, and it's a bit of a funny story because when my dad got me a Famicom as a kid a long time ago, I didn't know what video games were. I mean, we did call it TV game or computer game back in the days.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was that the very first game I got for that came along with the Famicom was um, the first RoboCop game by Data East, which was
Ooh.
actually really, really bad after replaying it recently.
Yeah.
And the second game that I got, because I remember this very, very vividly, the second game I got was actually TMNT, the arcade game, and for the NES, and that game blew my mind away. Like, if there was one game that really like made me realize that this is actually really awesome and it's something that I really want to get myself really into, it was that game itself.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can choose whichever turtle you want to play as, and there was multiplayer as well. There were 2 players, and it was such an amazing experience as well from start to finish. So yeah, great way for me to start off my beat 'em up journey with a great game as well.
Yep. Awesome. So for me, the first beat 'em up that I remember playing in the arcades was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was about like 3 or 4 years old. And it was like one of the latest games in the arcades. I remember like I would say that this was around like 1990 as far as I'm aware, when I was like around like 3 or 4. My dad took me to a grocery store, and they had the machine there. He gave me 1 quarter, and I just played. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just died. It was in the first level, so I didn't know what I was doing, and I died. And then Dad said, "Time to go," and then like that was it. Um, for NES, the first beat 'em up that I played, ironically enough, was TMNT2, the arcade game. Um, so I played that same game, but I didn't get that far because my cousin brought it over, and then like I watched him play the game. He was getting a lot further up until he lost all his lives. I believe it was the second half of stage 3, where like you're riding on like a hoverboard, like as a skateboard or hoverboard or something, and then you see like helicopters that are attacking you, like shooting at you, and foot soldiers would just randomly pop up out of nowhere. Like it's one of the few stages to not have a boss, and that's what I remember. Like I was watching my cousin play that, and yeah, like that was pretty much like the earliest memories of me playing beat 'em ups, and it was all Ninja Turtles because at the time, the Turtle Mania was huge, and I was obviously a part of it, um, so that made sense. But in terms of what was my first like non Ninja Turtles beat 'em up that I played, um, unfortunately, I don't remember what was the first. I don't remember what was the first non Ninja Turtles beat 'em up I played, but I played like many of them later on. But Ninja Turtles was like the first. Um, so now the next question that I want to ask, and I'm gonna start with Eddie for this one. Have you played beat 'em ups with other people in person or online, and what was it like?
Oh, I have on both occasions, and it's great to play them together. I remember my dad used to be part of a bowling league, and we would go to him with every week to the bowling alleys and stuff like that, and he would give me and my brother quarters to go play in the arcades and just while the adults bowled and drank and had a good time and stuff like that. But it was always a great memory, like especially you get to meet new friends, new kids, and stuff like that. And we would play like the X-Men game, the TMNT game, all the 4 player like beat 'em up ones that were there.
Yeah,
And it's always a good vibe and like playing them online, or like I mean, playing them in person, I should say, because you're in that moment with the sounds and like the coins going everywhere, all the sound effects just going crazy. And if you're a good spot as an adult now, like you do the same thing, but you got beer and you're having a good time, and it's great. Online, it's also been the same experience. I think it's been really solid. I remember one of the streams that I did was with my friend Legend Gary 323. We did the entire Streets of Rage series like in one sitting
nice.
online. Like so, it was like 1 through like 4, and that was phenomenal because it was just like the ease of access of just being able to like, hey, let's just jump on Steam and let's just open up the Sega Master Collection and play Streets of Rage 1 through 3, and then we went on to 4, and it was just a really really great time. So I've had really good experiences with it, and I think beat 'em ups are such an easy like pickup game that you can do at an arcade in real life, or
Yeah,
like if you just want to hang out with a friend, like chop it up, like it's just so easy to do, you know what I mean? And I do that all the time with my friend. We'll just be like, hey, what do you want to play? And we'll just be like, we'll go Shredder's Revenge right now. We'll go, the Capcom beat 'em up collection, and just, you know, talk shop, and that's it.
yeah,
So no, I think it's great for both occasions.
yep. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I've had situations like that. I remember one of my earliest. I say earliest. It was actually more like I was around 8 or 9 at the time. Um, I was doing a playthrough of, I think it was Golden Axe
Yeah, Golden
with a
Axe.
friend. Yeah, we were doing Golden Axe on his Genesis over at his place. Um, I was playing as the dwarf, the dude with the battle axe,
Oh yeah,
and
Gilius.
yeah, he was playing as the guy with the broadsword. No one wanted to play as the chick.
I used her. She's actually pretty good.
She is actually a really good user, but we were kids at the time. We were just
Yeah.
A
boys.
girl? I don't
Yeah.
want to play as a girl.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Ironically enough, now like I tend to use like I tend to play as like women in general in beat 'em ups or anything really. But yeah, Golden Axe is fun.
Yeah. And then obviously we've done some stuff together online, so that that's obviously, yeah, we've definitely done online stuff. If you count hack and slash games as online stuff, I've been doing Age of Imprisonment like past few Sundays, and my
Yeah,
buddy Radio Dog, he's been doing the co-op with me with
nice.
Game Share, so
Oh
we've been
yeah,
having a blast with that one.
that's good. Yeah, yeah, because there's also hack and slash that have the beat 'em up elements. Like I know, like one prime example of that's besides Golden Axe would be like, Knights of the Round.
That's also a good one.
Yes.
Fantastic game.
All right. Johan, what about you? Have you played beat 'em ups with other people in person or online, and what's it like?
Yeah, I've done both. I mean, in person, I used to do it as a kid because I used to have friends come over to my place and we would be playing games like, well, it's either friends or sometimes even with my siblings or cousins as well. We'd be playing games like Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, um, Final Fight 2 and 3. I mean, I did briefly had a Mega CD or Sega CD, and we played Final Fight CD, which was a great port, but it also has its own faults as well.
It does.
Yeah, and it's always a great experience when you're playing beat 'em ups with people in person, because that way you guys can like just like there's that sense of like being in the same room together and playing a game together as well, and being able to like feed off each other while you're playing as well, and being able to see each other as well makes it all the more fun. There's that sense of like being in the same room at the same time playing a beat 'em up together.
Yep.
Online, it does feel a bit different because we're like in different parts of the world sometimes as well while we're playing, and but the experience is still the same. It still feels the same, especially if we're in voice chat and we're talking to each other. So yeah, I feel like and I think you guys brought up a good point. Beat 'em ups is a great way to it's a great game. It's a great genre where you can just pick up a controller and start playing without really getting into the complexity of like some of the mechanics that might be a bit too overwhelming at times. So yeah, both experiences are good, both online and offline.
Oh yeah. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, mine have most of the time been local. I know in the arcade there was nothing better than when you, with strangers or friends, when you got to play as all four turtles in the Turtles arcade game or Turtles in Time. It just felt right.
Yep.
And then in rare occurrences, if you could get 6 people to play X-Men with you, it was amazing to watch.
Yep.
People would just crowd around just to watch. Hey, you have 6 X-Men on screen fighting each other. Because like right now, I'm playing Absalom with a friend, and we're going through that because it's got heavy Dragon's Crown vibes, and it's a lot of fun to play.
I heard about that one. It's actually pretty good for what I've heard.
It is very good, yeah.
I need to get myself Absalom one of these days as well.
Same.
It's so addicting.
Yeah.
It's a roguelike or roguelite, but it is very addictive.
Yep. So, I've played I have a lot of online experiences, but I've also had a lot of local experiences, whether it's on console or on arcade. But in regards to the arcade, one of my favorite experiences playing with other people, it was my younger brother and both of my parents, and we all played The Simpsons 4 players. My younger brother was Lisa, I was Bart, my dad was Homer, and my mom was Marge. And we managed to get through, but then like at some point my dad and my mom gave up. And I think together we collectively made it all the way up to the Dreamland area. And we lost to the bowling ball.
Oh wow.
Yes, it was the giant bowling ball that we had to fight against. I've also played I played X-Men with 500 people. It's been wild. I played both arcade Ninja Turtles games. I played Turtles in Time a lot more. Um, Final Fight, I've seen the arcade machine every now and then. There was like a multi arcade game cabinet that I've seen at a laser tag place that no longer exists. Um, but I have seen standalone Final Fight machines. I've never seen a standalone Captain Commando machine. I've only seen them as part of like those multi arcade game cabinets. Um, and like most of the other Capcom beat 'em ups, that were in the arcades, I've only ever played them like either through emulation or through the Capcom beat 'em up bundle. Um, and Battle Circuit is actually a pretty underrated one. I've
It
played
really is.
I've played
Mhm.
in terms of like beat 'em ups in person, like through consoles. Um, I've played Golden Axe with my brother when I was a kid, both one and two. Golden Axe, we never owned Golden Axe 3 because it never actually came out in the United States in cart form. It was only on the Sega Channel, which we never had. Um, which I was told that I wasn't really missing all that much with that one. Um, but I did not play Streets of Rage in like until like when the Wii was out and they had the virtual console. That was actually the first time I got to play Streets of Rage. So I played Streets of Rage 1 on that. I played Streets of Rage 2. Didn't play 3 on that though. I've actually played and beaten Streets of Rage 3 on the Sega Genesis Classics on Switch for the first time, and I'm never playing that version ever again because they changed so much for that game for Streets of Rage 3. I do need to at least try the Japanese version. People say it's
It's much better.
the superior
way
version.
better.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
More characters and much better put together.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
I've played like I know for a fact that I played the X-Men arcade game and the Simpsons arcade game online once they came out on the 360 and PS3 before they got delisted. They were out for like I think a year or 2 years or so before they got delisted, but I got them. I've played through. Here's another experience, and this is like a local co-op one on the 360. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I played that with friends, and what happened was that we made it up to the fourth stage. We were fighting the boss, and all of a sudden, the 360 crashed. It froze.
Oh,
and
that's terrible.
unfortunately,
The worst thing that could happen.
we actually wanted to beat the whole game together, but the 360 crashed. So unfortunately, it just didn't really happen. So I did not get to beat the game until when I streamed it 4.5 years ago, when the remaster came out. Which I made. It was the only time that I've ever ordered directly from Limited Run, which I'll never do ever again, because of the fact that they decided that it was a good idea to like do all those collector's editions. But but Limited Run, that's a topic for another day. But yeah. So I did get to play Scott Pilgrim, finally beat the game, and I was like, yes, this game is really good. But the problem is, by the time I beat the game, I was playing beat 'em ups that to me surpassed that game, like Streets of Rage 4, and then I would later play Shredder's Revenge, which to me was even better than both games. And I know for a fact that Marvel Cosmic Invasion is going to surpass that too. But there is a new Scott Pilgrim game coming out, Scott Pilgrim EX, which looks really good. That's coming out next year. But yeah, we could not finish that game back then on the 360. It's a shame that the 360 just randomly crashed. But here's another beat 'em up that people absolutely enjoyed on the 360 back in the day that they just keep re-releasing on all platforms and still updating it every now and then. Castle Crashers.
Oh,
Now
yes,
that's a
Castle
good one, yeah.
Crashers.
Castle Crashers is
Such a
fun.
great game. Yeah, such a fun game. I buy that game
Yeah.
I own it on every single possible system, every single reiteration of it.
Yeah.
It's always on sale, and like they keep updating it. Like recently updated it, like randomly and stuff like that. And yeah, such great memories with that game.
Like
I love it.
I kept expecting them to make a sequel, but no, they just keep updating. I'm like, yeah, like that's impressive that they just still give it a lot of life. Like Castle Crashers is so much fun. Because I remember like playing that with my brother on the 360, like together, and it was a lot of fun. Just going through it. Like I go back every now and then. I did stream that game like in 2019, and we managed to beat that game in one sitting on stream. It was well worth the time. Like really good.
Yeah.
If you're playing with 4 players, although because I was kind of hoping that they would make a sequel and increase the amount of players and add a lot more that you can do, but um, I've played Guardian Heroes on the Sega Saturn, and that that game is amazing. Like it was made by Treasure, and it was awesome. Like it was so good. Like you have multiple paths you can take, and then like there's multiple endings. Great game. They re-released that game on the 360, but they really need to re-release that game again. That game should not be lost to time. There's just so many beat 'em ups that should not be lost to time. But I spent so much time playing like arcades, consoles, and online, and still have a great time playing with friends. Wonder if or like even with random people that I don't even know, I still have really good experiences playing beat 'em ups with them. So
They're just so fun. They're just so easy. It's simple. It's a great formula that works all around, and it's just you get. It's hard to be like, give me a beat 'em up that was just like the absolute worst. That right? Like I can't genuinely like think of one where unless you go, what's that? What was that Action 52 game and you talk about the Jaguars and stuff like
oh,
that.
Cheetah Man,
But
yeah,
yeah, Cheetah Man. Yeah,
Cheetah
there you
Man,
go. The Cheetah Man. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, but like every beat 'em up is essentially kind of like the same formula, the same. It's hard to really mess that up. So I think that's why they're so fun because it's just like you know what you're doing, you know what your end goal is, and most of them have really good music, really good graphics, and it's an overall good time.
yeah. Let's see. So, the next question, I'm going to ask Ben this question.
Yo,
What are some of your favorite beat 'em ups of all time? Like at least up to 3 at most.
up to 3 at most. It's kind of funny because I think one of the community questions kind of posted something similar.
Mhm.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. And speaking of the community questions, we actually did answer one of them, which Maverick actually asked us about, which was the first one we started with.
yeah,
So, but yeah, continue.
uh, yeah, because I know one of the community questions was like, "Hey, what are your top ones?" But so I guess if we're gonna be repeating that question, guess we'll go ahead and I'll answer this one a little bit.
All right.
So, what are my top beat 'em up games in no particular order? Uh, River City Ransom, obviously.
Yeah.
I know we covered that one in the chat, but River City Ransom is stupidly fun. I love that one. That was like one of the first beat 'em up games that I actually completed in full. Uh, Funny enough, I actually didn't play that one until more when I was closer toward being an adult than I was actually a kid. Um, One of the games that I played in my teenage years that I loved was King of Dragons.
Oh,
It was
okay.
it was the same one by Knights of the Round. Uh,
Yep.
King of Dragons was another one. Turtles in Time, always a perennial favorite. Shredder's Revenge by spin-off on that was also one of my favorites. I loved Shredder's Revenge a lot, especially when we were doing that one online.
Yeah.
Um, there were, aside from Rita's Rewind, the most recent one that came out, some of my favorite beat 'em up games were the Mighty Morphin games for the Super Nintendo and Genesis by Bandai Natsume Banpresto.
Hmm.
Those were some of my favorite
Nice, very
ones.
nice.
If we include the hack and slash among those, then Dynasty Warriors, hands down.
Yeah.
But specifically 5, 7, and 8 in the Empire subseries,
Oh, nice.
and the Hyrule Warriors games, all three of them, pretty much go are pretty solidly in those.
Good stuff.
Solid entries right there for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Johan.
Yep. Okay, if I have to give three, the first one would be Shredder's Revenge, because as much as I love Turtles in Time, and that has always been like one of my top favorites, there's just so much to do in Shredder's Revenge that really makes me push that one at the very top. And plus, the fact that you could actually play as Casey Jones was an easy sell for me,
Yes.
because I'm a Casey Jones guy as well. And I mean, I used to cosplay Casey Jones in like his 2003 iteration. So
Nice.
when he got announced during the Summer Game Award, during the Summer Games Fest, I think it was in 2022,
Yeah.
which was like I think about a week or so before the game was actually released. That really, like, yeah, I remember being really, really hyped for that. So yeah, Shredder's Revenge is one of my favorites. Another all-time favorite, and I kind of like go back and forth with this as well. Probably Streets of Rage 2, and even the first game as well, because I love the aesthetics of the first game and even the soundtrack of the first game as well. But the second game had a lot more to it. Visually, it looks a lot better. It plays better as well. There are some really great stages. Like the third stage at the theme park will always be like one of my favorite beat 'em up stages ever. And yeah, again, the soundtrack from Yuzo Koshiro is also amazing stuff as well. So
Yeah.
absolutely, like, you can. I mean, yeah, the third game was divisive as well in some ways, and the fourth game was also excellent, but you can't go wrong with the Streets of Rage series. And as for my number one favorite, this might come as a bit of a, well, I wouldn't really call it obscure like pick or anything like that, but my number one favorite is actually Dragon's Crown. Um,
Yeah, that's from Vanillaware.
so yeah, the only thing about Dragon's Crown that I don't like is the fact that it is locked specifically to like the PS3, PS4, and also the PS Vita.
Yeah.
Although you can play it on the PS5 as well, but I think that game would be, it would have been nice if Vanillaware and Atlas, would to actually release it on Steam as well, so that more people can also play it as well,
Yeah.
instead of being locked to the PlayStation like consoles. But my God, the first time I played that game like over 10 years ago, it's and revisiting it again a few years ago, it still blows my mind with how amazing the game looks and how it sounds. And I especially love the boss battles because there's a lot of variety to a lot of the bosses that you fight, and there's a lot of strategy that goes along with it. Like, it's not, you don't get to fight the same kind of bosses where you just beat them up, where you just, literally like beat them up. There's actually like ways to actually like defeat them as well. Like with the Cyclops, the Cyclops boss in one of the stages, you actually have to like prevent the gate from being closed or something like that, or when you're fighting the Kraken as well, you have to make sure that the Kraken doesn't like pull the sort of like, I think they're like stalactites or stalagmites or something like that, so that you don't get like crushed out and washed away or something like that. So it's amazing. I mean, the way the attention to detail in that game is absolutely mind blowing, and I honestly hope, I honestly wish the game would get a lot more love. But yeah, easily like my favorite beat 'em up to play ever.
It's interesting because I think this is the most hyped I've ever heard Dragon's Pro Crown like being hyped up.
Yeah.
And I've owned that game, like the physical. I bought like the physical steelbook edition that has like the little rough like cover that you can like actually feel. Came with like these trading cards in there, and it's usually always this like sitting there on my shelf. And I'm just like, one of these days I'll pick this up. One of these days I'll play it. It got released on like the PS Plus, and it's installed on my PlayStation 5 right now. And I'm just like, and right now I was like the first time where I'm like, man, I think I really need to play this game. Like, like I need to play it like right after we're done here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so good. It is so good.
Yep.
And I mean, they even have the killer rabbit from like the Monty Python movie as like a boss in that game too. So
Oh wow.
and and that rabbit is actually pretty overpowered as well. Like it takes a while to actually beat him. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
All right. Steve, what's your top three?
If I want to go, I'm gonna go kind of in order, a time order right now.
Yeah.
First one was River City Ransom. I think I played that one to death. Even getting all the secret rooms, making sure I had a password whenever I wanted to play again. That started me with all the moves and money. Um, checking out all the shops and that. It got me into that type of RPG style beat 'em up that would later go on to like River City Girls and Dragon's Crown and Absalom and stuff like that. So it was really cool. After that, for Saturn, I imported and got the Dungeons and Dragons collection. It was the two beat 'em
Nice.
ups. The first one in the Shadows of Mysteria, I think it was called. That was a good one. Again, it did leveling up and going to shops and such. Had branching paths, but my number one will always be the Warriors.
Oh,
It's my favorite one to play co-op, just because of the amount of things you can do. It was the most freedom I've ever seen in a beat 'em up, where you could do everything from steal car radios to mugging to arresting people and trying not to get arrested and commanding an army. And then the greatest part about this game is if when you beat it, you unlocked a double dragon variant of the Warriors that you could play. So it was like two beat 'em up games in one. It was awesome.
Nice.
oh yeah, it's super solid. Yeah, that game is absolutely
I
fantastic.
really want this one to come to modern consoles.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could pick it up on PS4 is the latest, I think. Maybe Xbox One. I'm not too sure because I know it's installed in my PS5 and I can play it.
Yeah.
Like so, but it's one of those things. Like I remember when that came out, the Warriors, and then it was like a month or two apart from the Final Fight Streetwise, and
Oh.
yeah, like they came out like relatively close to each other, and I remember I picked up both of them, and I was like, "What the hell happened to Final Fight?" Like Warriors was just absolutely
So,
amazing.
if you want to know something funny, the best way to compare Final Fight Streetwise is look up Malibu Comics and Street Fighter.
Oh.
Basically, that's another example of somebody who didn't know their reference material, so they
Mhm.
decided to go crazy with it. I tried to beat Final Fight Streetwise for Xbox, and it crashed on me, and I was like, I don't know if I can ever get this far again, so I'm not going to play it.
You unlocked a core memory in my mind regarding those Malibu comics, Street Fighter comics. They've also done the Mortal Kombat comics, and those were not great either.
What the Street Fighter? They like ripped off Ken's scalp in like issue 2 or something. I was like, what
Oh
are you
my
doing?
god.
So wild.
Absolutely. Um Eddie, what are your top three?
Yeah, so Warriors is definitely up there. That was one of them for me. So in no particular order, since we're talking about that, like I'm definitely gonna go and hop on that one as well. The Warriors was just absolutely fantastic. I had no idea what it was about. Didn't know that it was a movie. I was a big Rockstar guy, so I was like, oh, Grand Theft Auto. I think Red Dead Revolver, not yeah,
But
Red
that
Dead
was the first
Revolver
one,
was the one
yeah.
that was out. Yeah. And so I was like, cool. So Rockstar, Warriors, like all this stuff, giving me like the Final Fight vibes, like beat 'em up style. Yeah, and everything you said about that game was just absolutely the music in it was great too. And like you said, just like the mini games and all that good stuff about it, that was a fantastic game. So that definitely is in like my top three. Um, I will say honorable mentions right now for me. Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
That's up there. But if I had to go like specifically, like all right, like the next top two, Final Fight 1 for the Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
Like I felt like that's a really good port, and it adds a lot of like bonus features on there with new characters, new dialogue, and it's just a very good game for the Game Boy Advance.
Pro artwork.
Um, yeah, the artwork about it was just like fantastic, and it's just like all the stuff that you can unlock and the replayability of it. Just like being able to unlock everything was fun, like for me.
Yeah.
So that one's that for sure one of the great ones. Turtles in Time,
Yes.
the SNES or the arcade version. That's always like the ones I go to, not the 360 arcade one that we shouldn't be regularly talking
No.
about.
Oh god,
Yeah,
I remember that.
No.
yeah, and so yeah, but like Turtles in Time for like that's the one that I like felt like that's like the turtle beat 'em up that I fell in love with. Like everything about it was just so great. The music, the art style, like the character, like it's just like the whole thing, how it went about it was just fantastic for me. And then the other one would be Ninja Warriors for the SNES or
Oh
the
yeah, that
remaster. I
game.
think
I've heard
another
about
one.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Ninja Warriors is another one that just it looks so good and it played so good. And like you had all these cyborg ninjas going up against an army, and then you had like bigger cyborg ninjas that you had to fight and like all this stuff. It's
Yeah.
just like just a visually great looking game. So that those would be like my top like beat 'em ups in that scope.
Yep. So for me, like my top three, like there's so many games I can choose from. Like my honorable mentions, like obviously like if I have to like honorable mentions, I'm gonna go with Streets of Rage 4 as one of them, like the best game in the series, hands down. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, um, Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder is up there as like an honorable mention. The best Golden Axe game. Like it's a better Golden Axe 2 than the Golden Axe 2 on the Sega Genesis. Um, and Castle Crashers is definitely up there as like one of my honorable mentions, but and the X-Men arcade game. But for number three for me is The Simpsons. I've spent so much time on The Simpsons. I love it so much. Um, Spent so many quarters on it. Have a lot of fond memories with The Simpsons. Uh, and it was fantastic. Also, I'll put Final Fight as an honorable mention and like Captain Commando. Number two is Shredder's Revenge. You would think that I would put Shredder's Revenge in number one, considering how much I love Ninja Turtles, but it's actually number two only because of the fact that number one, you would be surprised as to what I'm putting number one. But Shredder's Revenge is like the ultimate Ninja Turtle beat 'em up. To me, it's like the Turtles are at their absolute best, and they were able to do way more here in this game than any of the other Turtle beat 'em ups. Just the fact that you are able to have like um 11 playable characters, because like you start with 7 characters, um and then afterwards like you unlock like you get 2 for DLC, like the ones that the first 2 DLC characters were Usagi Yojimbo or Usagi Miyamoto and Karai, and then like the other 2 that they added were Mondo Gecko and Mona Lisa. I did not expect them to do a second round of DLC. Like I thought they were just gonna stop with Usagi Yojimbo and Kurai, but no, they just gave us 2 more. But they did say, "Oh, that's the last one," because it turns out they were working on Marvel Cosmic Invasion. But yeah, uh, so that's my number two. Number one, and people would be surprised that I'm actually gonna put this here, and people are gonna think that I'm cheating, but I don't care. It's my podcast. I can do what I want with it. But you wanna know what my number one is? It's Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is so good. Like just the story, like cuz the game chronologically is the first game in the series. Um but you have like a very deep story. The game is like about like um 20ish hours long if you're not 100% in the game, but it is a beat 'em up. Like because the first 6 games as well as 0 are beat 'em ups. It's just that 7 deviates it into becoming an RPG. So, um, but yeah, so I happen to love it way too much. But yeah, so Yakuza 0 is like number one for me. Yeah, like I was thinking long and hard, but like, yep, I have to put Yakuza 0 up there. Like, there's just no way I would not do a beat 'em ups list and not have that there. So Yakuza 0 is my number one. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those like good 3D beat 'em ups out there, right?
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
there's been many attempts at 3D beat 'em ups, but Yakuza just does it right. I remember the first time I played got into the Yakuza series through Yakuza 6. So I was like super late into it. And the only reason why I picked it up is because they had like featured like New Japan Pro wrestlers on there,
Yeah.
big
Oh
wrestling guy.
yeah,
So I was like,
yeah, I
yeah, let me
remember
go ahead
that.
and then I'm like, this is a beat 'em up? In my mind, I always thought Yakuza was just like the Japanese version of GTA. And so when I like started playing it and all these moves and like everything you were doing, I was like, yeah, fantastic. Fantastic 3D beat 'em up game.
Yep. All right. So now I'm going to start with Johan for the next one.
Okay.
What are some licensed properties you want to see become a beat 'em up?
Oh my god, that's a tough one because so many we've seen so many licensed properties be adapted to beat 'em ups over the years. I mean, we've already got TMNT. I'm very glad that Marvel got their own beat 'em up as well. That's coming out
Yep.
very very soon. I mean, I've always wanted a G.I. Joe beat 'em up. We got one last year, which was I think it was Rise of the Cobra, but it was really,
Okay.
really disappointing for me if I have to be like really honest about it.
They did get T Lopes, and they also got Johnny Gioli from Crush 40 to work on the music for that game.
Yeah, I remember it, and they even got like a few guys with a few people within the beat 'em up community to sort of like advise them on how to like make the game better as well. But after playing it, I was like, as much as I wanted to like the game, because I remembered streaming it like late last year when it came out, as I was really trying my hardest to like the game so much, but I ended up like just. I don't want to say hating it, but I was really, really let down with just how bad it was. So yeah, um, and I think there's a He-Man beat 'em up game coming out as well. So that's
There
that's
is.
good. At least that's another property
Looks
that's
great.
coming out. And then there's a Toxic Crusaders one that's also in the works as well.
Finally getting a release date.
Yeah. I think. Oh man, I can't really think of like licensed properties, but. I was because I guess because Ace Frehley passed away recently as well, but it got me thinking: what if Kiss had their own beat 'em up? Because you had all four band members as well. Like imagine playing as Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons or or whichever guitarist or drummer that they have right now. As part of the band and playing as them, just going through like all kinds of adventures in the game. Like maybe they have to go back in time and save rock and roll or something like that.
You have to save
But
Christmas. That's the only way it can happen.
Yeah.
oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I remember like I know Kiss had like a few tie-ins. I think they had a pinball game or something like that, and a few others as well. But a beat 'em up featuring the four of them would have been perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
especially since they have their own characters and gimmicks too. But yeah, I don't know if that will ever happen. But just saying, that would be I guess that's a licensed property that I would want to see. Other than that, I feel like, yeah, I mean, if there was ever another GI Joe beat 'em up, that would be great. But because Rise of the Crowbar was pretty disappointing. But yeah, hopefully more stuff that we grew up with in the 80s would also emerge as beat 'em ups too. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things go.
Yep. All right. Cool. So, Steven, what about you? Like, what are some licensed properties you want to see become a beat 'em up?
So some of them I know there's derivatives of. Like I know Universal Monsters eventually turned into Darkstalkers, but I wouldn't mind a beat 'em up where you fought all the different Universal monsters as their own bosses, like the Mummy,
Yep.
the Wolfman, Dracula, and just having like licenses like that. And I think the other one, because playing them on NES, you just wanted a beat 'em up version of it, but
Yeah.
would be one of the slasher flicks, because the Terrifier game is terrifyingly bad. I've tried playing that, and it wasn't very well done, but it just got me thinking, hey, if they could just do some of the classics, like if we could fight all the different versions of Jason through the movies, or especially Jason, because at least his are different, or even Freddy. I was just like, I would love if they gave me a really good horror beat 'em up. I haven't really gotten one yet.
All right. Eddie?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one for the like Universal Monsters one. Like, uh, I was thinking like more in like the movies as well, but I would like to see like the '80s action movies. Like, give me a Big Trouble in Little China beat 'em up. Give me
Ooh.
a Escape from New York beat 'em up. Like, you know what I mean? I know you can do it, and then you can have like little segues where some of them can be like it could be like Contra on the motorcycles and stuff like that type of situation.
Yeah.
But I would like to see more of that. Like I feel like there's a lot that you can do, whether it be a 2D pixel like high art style or like a 3D like the Warriors. I just feel like something like that would I would love to see. I think there's a market for it. The nostalgia is definitely going to be biting on it. But like, yeah, give me like Demolition Man, like in beat 'em up like style, like a really good like beat 'em up style, not the over the top or not even no, that was Die Hard, I think. But you know what I'm trying to say. It's like something like that. Like give me Dynamite Cop, but a real good version of like Die Hard
Yeah.
in 3D, and like that would be solid. Or Dread, yeah, Judge Dread would be another one too.
Yep.
Like I know they've been licensed, but I want them in beat 'em up form.
Okay. Sounds good. Ben.
That's a good question. I really don't know. And honestly,
Yeah.
I guess in terms of, I mean, everything already said has been good. I suppose to kind of turn things on its head, just for fun. Why not Mario? I
Sure.
mean, he's done pretty much every freaking game genre up to this point. Why the hell not? I'll beat him up.
Exactly. Like that would be nice.
So,
All right. I got a couple that I want to bring up. So some of them are going to be just out of this world in terms of which licensed properties I'll actually go for. One of them that I would like to see is I would like a really good beat 'em up based on the anime Yu Yu Hakusho. I would love to see that. Like if
that actually would, yeah, that would be a real good one right there.
like if they did,
Um,
but like if they did co-op like 4 players, like you have like Yusuke, Kuwabara, Hiei, Kurama, maybe some secret characters like you can play as Botan, you can play as Koenma, um, Genkai. Like that would be nice to have. I would absolutely be down for a game like that if they were to do a beat 'em up. I would love to see a beat 'em up on like I kind of want a crossover of like ABC's TGIF as a beat 'em up. Like you have Perfect Strangers, you have Family Matters, you have Full House, you have Boy Meets World, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you have Sister Sister, you have Mr. Belvedere, you have like Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Like I would love that to be a beat 'em up. Like just have all these characters just crossing over in some sort of weird like dimensional rift. That would be the most like wild beat 'em up idea. Mainly because of the fact that like I absolutely love TGIF growing up, watching all those shows, and I do happen to like Full House. I do love Family Matters. And on a separate beat 'em up, um I would actually also like a beat 'em up based on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I would be down for that. I would be down for a beat 'em up that was based on I would love a beat 'em up that was absolutely Saved by the Bell would be nice. I would love a beat 'em up that was based on the 2000s cartoon Jackie Chan Adventures. I would love that. That would be fun. Uh, a beat 'em up based on the Men in Black. Uh, let's see. If I had to think of a couple of other ideas. uh, I would like. I would actually like a beat 'em up based on Teen Titans, not Teen Titans Go, but the original Teen Titans from Cartoon Network back in 2003. That needs to be a beat 'em up. Like I know there was a video game on like GameCube and I think PS2 as well. But I want a Teen Titans like co-op side-scrolling beat 'em up. I'll play that. Uh, I would absolutely love because I know we're getting a Marvel Cosmic Invasion, but I wouldn't mind if Tribute Games also made a beat 'em up based on DC Comics, did a Justice League beat 'em up. That would be cool too. Uh, Avatar: The Last Airbender and / Legend of Korra would be another good one. Like I know they're coming out with a fighting game, but like a side-scrolling beat 'em up with like Last Airbender and Korra would be great. Um, I would also have, and now here's another one. I would also like a beat 'em up that was based upon like pretty much like pretty much I just thought of one. Um a beat 'em up that was based upon King of the Hell.
I can see that. Funny enough, I
Um,
can
I would
actually
play
see
that.
that.
I would play that.
and Futurama would be another one that I want. Like I personally I would want Futurama more than King of the Hell. Um though I wonder how would a Family Guy beat 'em up work, or South Park. Like like Family
I
Guy,
think it
South
would
Park.
work really well, honestly, especially Family Guy. I feel like Family Guy has a lot of meat that they can work with.
Mhm.
I mean, a boss battle between Peter and the chicken alone
Yeah.
is there.
Like you would have 6 characters. You would have like Peter, Lois, Chris, Meg, Brian, and Stewie. Like you have all 6 characters that you can play as.
You gotta make Meg like ridiculously difficult to unlock because nobody wants to play as Meg.
I want to play as Meg. Um,
If it's copy of the Simpsons formula, I think it would work very well.
but if
Yeah.
and then like a few more before we move on. I would absolutely be interested and curious as to what if there was a beat 'em up that was pretty much a crossover between like the entirety of Shonen Jump. So you have Dragon Ball, you have One Piece, you have Fist of the North Star a part of that. You have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a part of that. You have Naruto.
Did we have a beat 'em up with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I'm not meaning to cut you off or anything, but
I
it feels like JJBA would just that sounds like right up its alley.
I if there isn't one, there should be. I know that there's fighting games. I know that Fist of the North Star had some. Uh let's see. Uh I would absolutely be down for like pretty much like movie characters, and also like because obviously we have Marvel, we have DC, but I want some independent comics as well. Like for example, like I know he had some beat 'em ups in the past, but Spawn. Spawn had some beat 'em ups
I
in the
was
past.
just thinking Spawn. Funny enough, when you
Spawn,
mentioned indie comics,
Spawn. Let's see. I would absolutely love to see a beat 'em up on because I know we have the Punisher arcade game, but imagine if like I know that we got Cosmic Invasion, but all I'm gonna say is put Deadpool in the game. Put Deadpool in the game. He's gonna be DLC for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, I've said a lot.
so springboarding off of your idea for a Sailor Moon beat 'em up, I just had a mental image of one based off of Tengen Topogura Lagann.
Oh
That
yes,
in the style of Rita's Rewind.
that would be nice too.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, because there is a Wolverine game coming out, but it's definitely Wolverine, all right. So next one is, and I'm gonna go back to Steven for this one. Are there 3D beat 'em ups that you enjoyed?
Yes, that's actually my number one.
Yeah,
Is the Warriors. They can be done right. You know, Rockstar, I guess, like set the mold. I think because trying to play through games like Fighting Force and some of the other ones, Spike Out wasn't that bad either.
yeah.
it was a little heavy-handed the way it talked to you when you tried to play the game, like how to read the map. Um, but yeah, I do enjoy 3D beat 'em ups. It's just that I think they've uh, they've gotten their um, footing now because I just started playing. It got a bad rap, especially from the creator. But Double Dragon Revive.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I've been playing through that, and I can say for people who are unsure, I can tell you that the game heavily plays like Batman Returns for Super Nintendo because you can throw a lot of people in the back and you can throw them into like dumpsters, arcade machines, windows, and stuff. And that's what's keeping me going. Is it's got a unique like gimmick to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like those other Double Dragon 3D games, not the pixel-based ones, but the 3D ones that sometimes just didn't hit. I think one of the guys said in the chat, Double Dragon 2: Rise of the Dragons. That's a really bad 3D one.
Oh
That could almost get you off of 3D beat 'em ups. If Fighting Force didn't do it, that game would do it.
yeah. Eddie, were there any 3D beat 'em ups you enjoyed?
Oh yeah, the Warriors for sure is one of those ones that's just like top tier. That I really, as far as like a 3D beat 'em up, just had everything right. One that I enjoyed playing, I didn't necessarily hate it completely. I thought it was a great idea, and I think it could have been done. Um, like it could have been better, but I do like have like a core memory of it, and it's something that I always like. Man, I miss playing this game just for the characters alone. The bouncer for the PS2.
Oh right.
The bouncer,
Yeah.
yeah, the bouncer for the PS2. Like it was like launch title, and like it had so much hype built up to it, but it was such a confusing like system to get used to. And then like you had like your pressure sensitive buttons that you had to do to like pull off some of the moves, which was just incredible. Like, so if you guys haven't played the bouncer, like if you try to emulate it right now, it's like really difficult because of that whole pressure system. But
Yeah.
it could still be played and stuff like that. And then Yakuza, like Yakuza overall, it's just has been like it's a fantastic 3D beat 'em up. Like it's just an immersive world, and it just gets so many things right. Like literally, if you don't do any of the other stuff, like you could just go around and beat people up, and it's a fun time.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Ben.
Honestly, I don't think there's been a beat 'em up game that I've played that I haven't enjoyed. Let's say,
100% fair.
Have you played Final Fight Streetwise?
no, no, I have not.
It's the worst Final Fight game. You're not missing much.
No, I can honestly say that of all the beat 'em up games that I've played, some of the games that I haven't played, I've never played any of the Final Fight games. I haven't played.
You
I'm
played
sure the Streets.
you played
I'm
the
sorry?
first you played the first Final Fight with me.
Right. There, yeah, because we did that beat 'em up collection.
Yes.
I forgot about that one. That was the one with
That Captain Commando, it had
Captain Commando. Yeah. I was just thinking that was that series, the Final Fight series. That's the one with Terry Bogard, right?
no, that's Fatal Fury. That's a fighting game.
Fatal Fury. Okay.
Final
Okay.
Fight was like, Cody, and you had Mike Haggard, like who is like super muscular.
That's right. I did play. Yeah, I did play that one. Did because I remember playing the first one with Mike Hagar. I think that was like the only Final Fight game that I've ever played was the first one with Mike Hagar,
Yeah.
Cody, and all them. Because I know where Final Fight was like one of the series that I've very little experience with Final Fight. Streets of Rage is another one that I haven't really played all that often. So,
Yeah.
and then the Fatal Fury ones also ones I don't really play that often as well. So, so you can obviously tell that I don't play beat 'em up games that often. At least the more popular series.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I haven't played that particular one. I can imagine that one's really bad.
Yeah.
It's just one of those like if you're a fan of like beat 'em ups, whether it be Streets of Rage, Final Fight, like the history that it has. So it being like the first game in such a long time on the 3D on like a 3D platform, which is the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, like you're telling yourself, like, man, like this is gonna be good. And I remember them like advertising as like having like actual like rock music, like from like Slipknot and stuff like that, like that was supposed to be like involved, like heavily involved. and you play it, and you're just like, this is just like so watered down, man. Like everything about it, like I as much as I am a Final Fight fan, like I was just like, I can't endorse this product. Like I just can't. Like it's so hard. Like it was really, really disappointing for me.
Oh yeah.
Fair.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ben?
No, I don't really have much else to say on that, honestly.
All right. Johan?
I guess I guess you could count some of the Dynasty Warriors games. Like 7 and 8 are my favorites. I enjoyed Warriors Orochi 3 as well. That was another favorite of mine
Warriors
too.
Orochi.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but yeah, Warriors. Those are some of the ones I've loved most.
Yeah.
The mashup between Samurai Warriors and Dynasty Warriors. Just,
Yeah, and the crazy thing about Warriors Orochi 3 was that there were a lot of guest characters as well. Like you've got Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. You had
yes.
especially like when they came up with with an expansion as well, and they added like Kasumi and Ayane from Dead or Alive. They even added Sophitia from Soul Calibur as well in there, which I thought was pretty wild. So yeah, I would say those 3 games are our favorite 3D games, beat 'em up that I enjoyed. Um, I did sort of enjoyed Fighting Force for what it was worth, but for some reason it felt pretty unmemorable for me. Like I remembered certain bits about it, like the final boss fight, but other than that, it felt pretty forgettable for me. There is one 3D beat 'em up that I did enjoy, and this is a bit of an underrated deep cut kind of title as well. But one 3D beat 'em up I did enjoy was Crisis Beat for the PS1. Um, is the one where you take control of, well, I think this is one of the weak points of it. You take control of either 2 pairs of characters where you're on a cruise ship that was taken over by terrorists or something like that, and you're supposed to basically save all the hostages. And once you beat the game, then you can freely pick like any of the 4 characters in that game as well. But when you start off, it's like there are 4 characters, but they're all split into pairs. So you have to pick like either 1 or 2 pairs, and whichever pair you pick, that could also work for 2 players as well. But only when you beat the game do you get to like unlock multiplayer or play through the game where you can pick any of the 4 characters really. But I think Crisis Beat for me is a very underrated game. I enjoyed it, but I think it's also due to the time that it came out. I think it came out around 98 or something, where I really it was one of my favorite years as a gamer in 98, and I think that was also partly the reason why I enjoyed it so much.
All right. Well,
Nice.
I enjoyed the Yakuza series. I'm currently in the middle of playing Yakuza Kiwami 2, and it's been really good. Um, but in terms of 3D beat 'em ups, there hasn't been too many that I've actually enjoyed, because unfortunately some of the games that I played did not have good experiences. And I do, however, need to get back into playing some of the Muso slash Warriors games. I really haven't played enough of them. The ones I did play were pretty good. I just haven't really played a lot of those games. So unfortunately for me, I don't have too much experience with 3D beat 'em ups that were great outside of Yakuza. Um, so now I'm gonna move on to the next question. And after this question, we got the community questions. So Eddie, we're gonna start with you on this one. Um, how much does beat 'em up? How much do beat 'em ups mean to you?
Oh, it's they're pretty high up there. I think along with like fighting games in general, because it's such a staple of like uh my childhood. It's no matter where you went, as far as I go when I was a kid, if it was to the laundry room, like to the laundry mat, it was they would have fighting games and they would have beat 'em ups. So you would have your Street Fighters, you would have your King of Fighters, your Metal Slugs, and then of
Yep.
course you would have either your TMNT, your Final Fight, something. And there's the same thing with the whenever I went to like the liquor store with my dad, Like I remember that was the first time I played the Punisher beat 'em up game. So to me, it's up there. It's one of like my favorite genres of all time, just because again, there's so many of them, so many licenses out there, so many different variations, and so many like different ideas put out there. So to me,
Yeah.
it's a very high genre for me, and I absolutely enjoy it. I can't imagine not playing video beat 'em up games overall. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's up there for me.
All right. Ben?
Fighting games, honest, are not the fighting games. Beat 'em ups, in particular. Uh, in a way, I could say take them or leave them, but considering that some of my absolute favorite video games of all time, uh, among of which are the Dynasty Warrior series, as well as and this includes Samurai Warriors, Warrior Orochi, the Hyrule Warrior spin-offs. Considering those are hack and slash games, which in turn are offshoots or subgenres of beat 'em ups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they mean a lot to me, quite as well.
Oh, yeah. Johan?
Yeah, beat 'em ups mean a lot to me as well because the second game I ever owned as a kid was TMNT, the arcade game for the NES. So growing up from there and seeing like what this genre was all about and being able to enjoy it for what it is what really made beat 'em ups like a thing that I enjoy as well, a genre that I enjoy. And then growing up playing games like the Golden Axe series, the Streets of Rage series, the Final Fight series, and so much more. And then, finding games in like arcades as well, whether it be like, whether it be in an arcade in a mall, an arcade in a country club, an arcade in a hotel or resort, and seeing games like Final Fight and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs and Simpsons Arcade and even yeah, and even Bucky O'Hare, for instance, that's a really good beat 'em up as well.
Mm.
So it really means it's like when you see these games and you look at how visually appealing they are and how chaotic they can be, it's just so much fun to play. And I feel like we're now in this age where there's a bit of a beat 'em up renaissance with so many games that came out. I know Fighting Rage that came out several years ago is a favorite of mine as well, which is
Good one,
also
yeah.
really good.
Mm.
Yeah, and there are a lot of new ones as well. Like I know Absalom was mentioned as well, which I really need to get my hands on at some point. I mean but it also has come to a point where there is like a mix of like good and bad beat 'em ups as well, especially those that came from licensed properties. Like I know there was a Karate Kid one that came out, which was also very, very decisive as well. Not to mention the fact that it is super overpriced. But yeah, it means a lot to me, and to see like so many new beat 'em ups coming out, from the good and even the bad, is a sign that the genre is still alive and well, and in some ways thriving too. So really looking forward to seeing what the future of beat 'em ups are looking like in the next few years.
All right. Steve?
I think because I was exposed to it from the get-go, like from the arcades, that it became more of an obsession where every system I got, I was just like, is there any beat 'em ups for it? And it got to the point where doing so, you'd find all these games that they would make into a beat 'em up because it just wasn't, something they didn't know how to adapt it and such. So, growing up, it was just like, okay, every system I've got, I'm gonna look for beat 'em ups for it, and it became more of an obsession. Like, it's the most replayable game I can think of all the genres I've played. That it just feels so good to just go in and just play a beat 'em up over and over again. And then the experience changes with the more players you can get. So whenever they're like, "Oh, it's 2-player," I'm like, "Great." Looking at you, Final Fight SNES, for having only one player. How could but after that, they rectified that with sequels and the Japanese import, and then from there, it was just like, what else can I get? Because it was just, whenever friends came over and they're like, what do you want to play? It was the easiest thing to get into, and anybody could play it. It was just you punch or you jump and you kick, and it was something that I could get any of my friends to play. So it was the best, and it's something that kind of makes me look forward to a game release sometimes when they're like, "Oh, this is coming out this date." I'm like, I can't wait because I don't think
Yeah,
anything can steal thunder because it's a beat 'em up.
exactly. So beat 'em ups tend to mean a lot to me because like what there's some of my comfort games, like my comfort genre, in a sense where I could just like go around and beat people up because like if I'm stressed, it's actually therapeutic when you think about it because you want to be able to just like take your mind off of whatever's going on in your life and you can just play the game and it actually helps. Um, or if you just want to play something with your friends or family and you just want to be able to team up just to do this, do that, beat people up in different worlds, then beat 'em ups are what I absolutely enjoy. I love them, and I will always love them. 2D or like 3D, I want to actually get into them more outside of Yakuza. It's just that, like I said, didn't really have a lot of good experiences with them. I need to play more of the Muso Warriors games, but I will get more into um, like some 3D beat 'em ups that I haven't really touched on yet. But I love beat 'em ups. I just can't get enough of them. So for community questions, we're gonna start off with Nova the artist. They ask most unique slash innovative mechanic in a beat 'em up and why. Um, well, I remember like when adding super moves to beat 'em ups were very like innovative. Like I think the first game that I've seen the first beat 'em up I've seen with like a super move where like yeah, like the actual bar um was Final Fight 3. Like you actually could perform supers like yeah, you could do specials where you just like it's basically the special where you do like a big special move, but it's supposed to be to get like a wave of enemies surrounding you off of you at the cost of some of your health. But to add super moves was huge. Um and I felt like, and honestly, also another thing is if beat 'em ups happen to have skill trees, that works too. To be able to, so you can be able to build up like a character and make them better. So yeah, that's mine. Steve.
I think for me, I know I'm beating a dead warrior here, but for for like the different things they've done, like that showed me that you can do so much more with a fighting game to kind of like just enrich it. And from there, it was like games like Dragon Crown and Absalom, where you're taking it into like a new genre. Um, it was just nice seeing those different gimmicks. I think my favorite though, which I wish they put in more games, and I'm glad it's on the NSO, this Nintendo Switch Online, is there's a cheat code in Brawl Brothers where when you get to the high score screen, you put in CHRCONF and you can rename every character in the game to whoever you want. So it's just something that no other fighting game beat 'em up ever did for me, but that game did. So you could just rename everybody funny names and kind of just play a beat 'em up in a whole new way because suddenly it's you versus just funny names and you can make the bosses funny names and it was like the best cheat I've never seen come across again. I wish more games would allow that kind of creativity. I'm not asking for a beat 'em up maker, although that would be cool. I'm just asking for give me a configuration like that because I really missed that from that game.
Mm-hmm. Eddie, what would you like?
Uh,
What would you say was the most unique and innovative in beat 'em ups, like mechanics?
so, so I think the power up stuff and the skill tree are valid points. Like those are really really good stuff. What I was thinking, and I don't even know if that's something that would be considered unique or innovative as far as a mechanic goes, but I really enjoy when beat 'em ups use the environment, like more environment, like you like in Batman Returns for the SNES, like when you can grab them and just throw them onto like the windshield and the whole windshield like breaks like from the mall or whatever, or in the TMNT Turtles in Time when like you send them flying to your screen. I like that. Like I like when they add like little things like that where you can use the environment more or less to like your advantage and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Not just a little like, oh, let me hit the fire hydrant and it just goes flying away. Like give me more. Like I think that would be pretty like unique and innovative like the Warriors did, where like you could essentially smash them into anything and use everything as anything, and you're just like so. If anything, that's what I like. I like when they do things like that, where you can use your environment around you to your advantage and just help you win the battle.
All right. Ben.
So this is going more into the 3D games here, but I think one of the most innovative stuff that I found was back when they first introduced the Create a Warrior mode in Dynasty Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
and when I think I don't know if the 7 or 8 was the one that did this, gave you the one where you can mix and match weapons among some of your player characters, where like normally one of the baseline characters from Wei, Jaho Dun, he uses like this Dao sword as his primary weapon, but then um, you could give him the option to utilize like Lubu's halberd or the twin chakrams that Sun Zhang usually uses, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, hey, that's pretty sick. Kind of mix and match weapons with some of the characters.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
All right.
Uh,
Anything else, or that's it?
that's pretty much all I've got in terms of that.
All right. Johan.
I think for me, I think one of the most unique things that I've experienced in beat 'em ups is probably the whole roguelite element thing, because I remember playing Double Dragon Gaiden, Rise of the Dragon, which I kind of feel like is a pretty underrated beat 'em up in some ways, because I don't feel like a lot of people really like talk about it much as well. But I enjoyed that game a lot. Like I remembered, I think it was a few years ago when it came out that I was playing it constantly. Although I feel like a lot of it was also due to me wanting to unlock every character in the game. But the thing I love about it is because they did employ a roguelike element like to it in a sense where not every playthrough will be the same. And there are only, I mean, there are 5 stages, like 4 of which you can pick and choose whichever you want to start off with. But whichever stage you pick first, it gets progressively harder as you go on when you pick other stages, and it's like the boss fights are different, the stage experience, going through the stages are also different as well. And I love how creative and challenging the developers made the game, especially like if you if you pick if you pick whichever final stage you pick before going into the 5th and actual final stage, you end up fighting like the same boss you would fight at the beginning, but now they're all leveled up in a way. Like for instance, Machine Gun Willie now fights with a chopper, or Lady Okada fights in like a samurai gear. Duke has like 2 huge hulking robot dogs protecting him, and Anubis becomes a straight up god as well. So I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. I like the whole element where you can play a game and every playthrough is not exactly the same. And if you want to unlock certain things as well, you can just play it however you want to play it, and it is still fun too. But yeah, I do feel I do feel like it gets slept on very often, especially since there is online play for it, which was something that I was pushing for, and the developers was like, oh yeah, we're gonna put it in, we're gonna put it eventually. And while I'm happy that that there is now online multiplayer for the game, I feel like the game is kind of in that stage where it is, I wouldn't want to call it dead, because they are also still coming up with DLC for it as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like more people should actually like give it a go, especially now that it's online and now that it has like there's a survival mode which is also quite fun. So it's one of those games where it's one of those mechanics which I really really enjoy, and I hope to see be put in more games as well. Especially if you're gonna put in a game, if you're having a beat 'em up with very little, not to say very little, but say like there are only a few stages and a few bosses. So that kind of like push things up a bit from time to time with every playthrough you do.
All right. So the next question is from Professor Icepick. Do you prefer belt scrollers or side scrolling beat 'em ups? So for belt scrollers, the context for that is the fact that like you have the beat 'em ups where you have like you just basically move from left to right, and they don't really like they tend to lock you in a certain spot until you beat all the enemies up, and then afterwards you can go to the next screen. Where side scrollers, you can just keep moving along. You don't have to be locked into a screen. You just keep moving along to beat people up. So, but I never really saw the difference that much. But you could tell like when like games just lock you in a screen just and they won't let you move further until you beat up all the enemies on screen. I understand what they go for with that, what they're going for with that. But yeah, um, to me, no preference. I like them. I like them all. Steve.
Yeah. I'd say there's a place for both because literally the Double Dragon series on NES, especially 1 and 2, would do that to you.
Yeah.
First, you'd be having to defeat everybody and you could move through the Z-axis, and then you'd have a platforming section where you had to jump while defeating enemies, but you couldn't move up or down. It was just a 2D plane. So, right there, you were getting introduced to both side-scrolling versus beat 'em up. I think when it came to having more than one player, though, the only way to go for me was belt scrollers because 2D it didn't work as well as you'd think, I guess, unless you can consider like maybe Kirby's Clash, Fighters Clash to be
Yeah.
the best side scrolling one where you could have multiple people. But I liked having kind of the choice between the two. And then the other one where you either got the belt scroller or you got the side scroller was Power Rangers for Genesis versus Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo decided to go 2D only, and then Genesis decided to go like a belt scroller. So it was nice to kind of see like, okay, this is how it would work
Yeah.
for Power Rangers.
Eddie. Eddie, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I think I had muted myself. But yeah, I'm the same with you. It's one of those things where like I feel like there really is no difference for me. Like it's a beat 'em up, it's a beat 'em up. My understanding of a belt scroller was uh different. I had thought that a belt scroller was like a rail shooter is what I thought. Where like the screen just progressively moves along and you're just kind of like following along like Altered Beast, which is not a favorite of mine. So that's always going to be like, well, if that's the case, side scrollers all the way.
Yeah.
But no, it's just like I think there's no like it's a beat 'em up, it's a beat 'em up, whether it's on a belt or side. Like I'm good for it.
Yeah, because with Altered Beast, you just be able to just keep moving up until like when you're about to fight a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of mediocre.
Yeah, I think Capcom defined belt scrollers when they made that beat 'em up collection because in Japan they called it the belt scroller collection.
Yeah, belt
So it
action
kind of
across.
told you,
Yeah,
kind of told you like Z-axis is where it's at.
yeah. But over here is this beat 'em up bundle. What about you, Ben?
Me personally, I kind of have no particular preference on one of those. If we're talking like 2D beat 'em ups, though, I would have to give the edge to belt scrollers, if for no other reason that there are just parts of the stage you can just walk straight off without meaning to.
Yeah,
I cannot tell you how many times I was playing like sort of either with you or with the other guys, DM Radio J, and we'd be all like on a stage and there's like, oh, there's the edge of the stage. Mr. Ben just go wandered right off again.
yeah, it happens.
If it's not me, then it's one of the rest of us.
Yep.
Uh,
What about you, Johan?
Yeah, this is a pretty tough one. I mean, I do enjoy side-scrolling beat 'em ups for the most part, if it's done right as well. Although it can be a bit, it does tend to be a bit congested or claustrophobic if it's a multiplayer like side-scrolling beat 'em up as well. So I tend to prefer belt scrollers more because there's a lot more room to maneuver and move around as well. And I love how chaotic it can be when there are so many enemies on screen and you can just like go around and just start beating people up. And I also tend to find like boss battles in belt scrollers to be a lot more memorable than side scrollers as well. So um yeah, I mean between if I had to choose like between the two of them, I would definitely take belt scrollers more over the side scroller ones. There's just a lot more. I get a lot more of a kick out of that. Playing a lot of the old beat 'em ups, your Final Fights, your Golden Axes, your Streets of Rages, your Captain Commandos, and so much more as well. And yeah, personal preference, I would say belt scrollers are my favorite if I have to pick either one of them.
All right. So next up is from Dari Gamer. What is the most unique and obscure beat 'em up you've played? Um, well, in terms of unique and obscure, God Hand. I love God Hand. That is the last Clover Studios game made by Capcom. And it was fun. Like, I've streamed it like last year, and I thought it was a really good game. Um, love the music, love the settings, like the characters, like the characters are all over the top. It's fun. To me, I felt like that's what a Final Fight sequel should be, and not Final Fight Street was. Um, it infamously got a 3 out of 10 from IGN, but it's nowhere near that bad. Not even close. It's actually, if anything, like I would say it's more like a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10. But it's a pretty fun game, pretty solid. Um, Another one, I'll name one more. Um, in terms of obscure and unique. So in terms of obscure and unique that I've played, that's a beat 'em up. Um, I have, I actually, for whatever reason, happen to enjoy um the Super Nintendo version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie more so than the Genesis one. I don't really know if I would call that like obscure, but it definitely feels really good. That's mine. Steve?
Hope you got your notepads out because I'm gonna go pretty obscure.
Okay.
um, so I've got a couple. One of them, many people don't know that when after they did RoboCop 1 for the arcade, RoboCop 2 is a belt beat 'em up,
Yeah.
and it makes you yearn for like a RoboCop versus Terminator. Like if they did like a fan game or something for that, be great. Um, Going portable, Darkman for Game Boy actually mixes some elements of beat 'em up with like a side scroller, which was unique. I've got nothing but praise to give for Blade for Game Boy Color that actually follows the Double Dragon aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one you should look for. But my absolute favorite, which is a deep cut, is going to be WWF Betrayal for Game Boy Color because of the
Oh my
storyline.
god.
Because of the
I feel like
storyline,
someone was gonna mention betrayal at some point.
Yeah,
Stephanie
for
McMahon's
sure.
been kidnapped, and Vince McMahon promises a championship chance to whoever
What?
rescues her. So you have to fight all these wrestlers, and it has nothing to do with like your normal in-ring action. It's just all beat 'em up all the time.
Wow.
And then like special shout out to a fan game called Double Dragon Reloaded. Um, I recommend that solely for the fact that they took most of the wrestlers from WWF Superstars, the arcade game, and put them in Double Dragon Reloaded, and
Yep.
it works perfectly. It works great, and it's just like there's just something I don't know. There's just something that works when you put WWF and beat 'em up together.
Yeah, because the developers were the same. It was Technos Japan,
Yeah.
but now the Double Dragon IP as well as River City is owned by Arc System Works, but they teamed up with Way Forward to do the River City Girls. What about you, Eddie?
So the most unique one that I've played, I would say, would be Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster.
Right.
I think that's a fun one for the PlayStation 1. The fact that like he mocap like a lot of his moves, and like you could do all this stuff with like the environment. Again, one of my favorite things to do. And then it's just a silly little beat 'em up. I think that was a unique one overall because it was the first of its kind, in my opinion, of like where you can basically play as Jackie. You are Jackie Chan in that in that game entirely. Obscure. I'm going back to the Game Boy Advance for whatever reason. I know the Game Boy Advance was like the RPG machine for some of you folks, but for me, it looks like it was the beat 'em up. But I remember getting a copy of, I think it's called Gekido,
Yep.
Oh, I heard
Gekido
about that
Kintaro's
one.
Revenge or something like that. It's like the sequel to the PlayStation game, which I had no idea what it was about. But it has branching paths, demons, cutscenes, like all in a Game Boy Advance. And for whatever reason, it was re-released for like the Switch, like
Yep.
a couple years ago.
Yep.
But I just found that game like to be like one of the most interesting beat 'em ups games that I have ever played, because you want it to be traditional, but it goes a little bit different, and then I'm just like confused about whatever is going on. Never beat it, never played it. Like, I mean, never beat it, I should say, like never completed it. I bought it when it was re-released for the Switch, but to me, like that is like the most like obscure one that I've ever like really played. Uh and I just like, it's just a difficult game for me. Like I suck at it.
All right. What about you, Ben? What's like the most obscure or like unique beat 'em up you played?
So the most unique and obscure game that I've probably played, and I don't know if obscure would probably be the best one to describe this one, but definitely the most unique. This was a fan game that I played way back in the years before. This was a Flash game on Newgrounds back when Flash was still like big thing. This was I wouldn't really say so much a Nintendo crossover as it was just a video game crossover altogether. You might have heard of it. It's called A Bobo's Big Adventure.
Oh, I have heard of that.
Oh my god,
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love Apu's Big Adventures.
That was one of the most unique ones I've seen. As far as actual like non-fan game stuff, one of the funniest that I've had that's kind of a bit unique was Karateka for two reasons. Um, there's a stance system in Karateka where you a sort of a one where you're like standing up like straight,
Mm-hmm.
and then one where you're kind of like in an actual fighting stance. And the first game that I remember on Karateka, I played the NES version on this one. This one stands out in my mind for two reasons. The stance one is you begin the game in the fighting stance. If you stand up straight and you step backwards, you can fall right off the edge of the cliff that you're standing in front of, immediately die, and get a game over. Right off the bat, just starting off the game. Which I thought was hilarious.
Yep.
The second reason is, again, going back to the stance thing, when you beat the final boss and you go into the final room, there's the princess that you need to save. You can approach her either standing up straight or approach her in the fighting stance. If you approach her like in fighting stance, she will immediately kick you in the head, instantly kill you, and you get a game over again. Which, again, I
Wow.
think is also just hysterical.
Wow.
But, yeah, those are pretty much my answers on that.
All right. Johan?
I have a few. Like Crisis Beat was the one that I mentioned, was obviously one obscure game as well. There's a game called The Takeover, which I think Matt McMuscles had a hand in making as well, which is
Yes.
really good. Like, it is visually probably one of the most beautiful beat 'em ups I've ever seen, played, and experienced as well. And it, like, you know, if you guys have never checked it out before, it's definitely worth playing. You can even use firearms as well, which I thought was pretty dope. Like, if you enjoy playing the Punisher, you would probably enjoy playing the Takeover as well. Shellshock mentioned, Power Rangers, the movie for the Super Nintendo, which I also enjoyed as well. I thought it was kind of interesting how they used like the plane system, which I think Guardian Heroes also used the plane system for
They-
their beat 'em up as well.
They
Yeah. Yeah. So my last pick for like a very obscure beat 'em up is probably the Fantastic Four for the PS1. And I know the game wasn't really that great and it wasn't really well received, but it was one of the very, very few beat 'em ups on the PlayStation, especially on the PS1, where you could actually play 4 players on it. And aside from the Fantastic Four, aside from like Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and the Thing, you could also play as She-Hulk. And yeah, it's a shame that the game wasn't really that great, but the fact that you could play 4 players on the PS1 for that game, I thought it was really, really cool. Like, I remember playing it with a few friends of mine as well, and we enjoyed it for what it's worth. But yeah, those are my obscure picks.
All right. Next one is from Sone. What beat 'em up would you like to see make a comeback as a remake, sequel, port? For port, Simpsons. I would also like a sequel to The Simpsons in the same vein as Shredder's Revenge, as well as the upcoming Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I want something like that with The Simpsons again. I also would like to see a new Sailor Moon beat 'em up, and for once, actually release it in North America, because North America never got any of them. It were either some were Japan only, and others had European releases, but never released in the United States. I would also love to see. I would also love to see a sequel to. In terms of sequels to beat 'em ups, I want a crossover with all the Capcom beat 'em ups together, because like imagine like you have like Knights of the Round, you had King of Dragons, you had Battle Circuit, Final Fight, Captain Commando, Armored Warriors, and Warriors of Fate all together. Like all 7 of those games, put them together in some sort of weird multiverse, and you're all teaming up to fight all the villains from those games. I would be down for that. So that's my answer. What about you, Steve?
I'm big into collections, and I know Arcade Archives has done some hard work on some of them, because they released Crime Fighters for the Arcade Archives and such. Because a lot of the Konami beat 'em ups, you always think of um, all the licensed stuff, and you don't think of like Metamorphic Force, you don't think of Crime Fighters and Vendetta, all those other really good ones that they put together. So it was always having collections, but I guess I would want kind of maybe and again an online version, like add online to Warriors, so I could like play with somebody on like my Switch or something like that. Or any of the other systems. I know it's there for download, but it's still stuck on local. So it's one of those games like you want it to be enabled with some online. So you kind of want a modern. I wouldn't say remaster, because remasters sometimes are a mixed bag. You might get Night Slasher remake, which is not good. Um, so it depends on how you do the remake and remaster. You'll get something good. You'll either get a Streets of Rage 4 or you'll get a Night Slashers. Um, so it's more like you said, kind of. I want them to dig deep and just give me collections. I want them to hey, you don't need to go crazy and look for all the all the licensed stuff. You can give me the obscure stuff. If you wanted to give me closure, please give me a Pirates of the Dark Water beat 'em up that expands upon the Super Nintendo game and
Yes.
actually finishes the story, so I get every single treasure that I'm supposed to.
Yes, please. I would love that. Eddie.
So right off the bat, I just need a final fight, a new one.
Yes.
I just need, and in the vein, like I would love for it to be like Streets of Rage 4. As someone who grew up loving the Final Fight series and disliking Streets of Rage for a long time, Streets of Rage 4 like definitely was like, what the hell? Like this is one of the best beat 'em ups ever. So I just need Final Fight to like come out with something similar. Capcom needs to do it, right? But that's what I would like. And if I would like a sequel or follow up to anything, give me another Alien versus Predator, whether it be an HD remaster,
That's a good one.
something. Yeah, like that's those would be my top 2.
Also, I want to go back real quick, and I want to say that uh I know obviously we're getting Marvel Cosmic Invasion, because that game to me is the culmination of 4 different beat 'em ups that were in the arcades. That would be the X-Men arcade game. There was Punisher, Captain America and the Avengers, which was made by Data East, and Spider-Man the arcade game from Sega. All 4 of those games are incredible. Just so to bring Marvel together and have a new beat 'em up in the same style as Shredder's Revenge, but even more advanced. I like this. I just love Marvel beat 'em ups. Uh, Ben, what about you? Like, what would be some beat 'em ups that you played that you like to see make a comeback?
Well, I agree in that I would like to see a remake of the Simpsons arcade game. A modern remake of the original River City Ransom would also be a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah.
Uh, Funny enough, I've never played it, but I would also like to see a remake of the Bouncer from SquareSoft as well. I know
Ooh.
that we mentioned that one earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, Two games that we haven't mentioned before that I know for certain I would absolutely love. And I've also one of which I also haven't played, but one I haven't. I would have just wished to God they would freaking back. Um, the one that I have played that I want so badly to have them bring back, Beautiful Joe.
Yes, Beautiful Joe needs to come back.
Beautiful Joe and a sequel. Just they need to re-release that in either a collection or just remake them entirely. We need to have Beautiful Joe back. The one that I haven't played that I would love to see a modern re-release on, Asura's Wrath.
Ooh, I've been wanting to play that one for a while.
I have seen playthroughs of Asura's Wrath that looks so fun as hell. It's freaking dope. But I've never played it. I understand that it's still only for like the old Xbox 360, PS3. I don't know if that's still available in terms of a collection. I'd have to probably buy that
you need
pre-owned.
to not only play it on 360 but or PS3, but you need to have the DLC to actually have the ending of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, and if that's the case, then yeah, that's not gonna be because I think they shut down the online stuff for that ages ago. Oh, that sucks.
You can play the game and watch the ending on YouTube. But
True.
That's not fun.
Still.
But but just to play it is so much fun. It's like the closest thing you're gonna get to God Hand. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, John?
Yeah, like Eddie as well. I would say Final Fight is like the number one series that I want to see get a new game, because I mean it's crazy, like especially when we look at the last 5 years, because we got a new Streets of Rage game, we got a new TMNT game. There have been some new Double Dragon games that came out as well, and then we also got a Night Slashes remake, and I think next year we're getting a freaking new Rushing Beat game as well,
Oh,
which is
boy.
totally unexpected, and I'm looking forward to it because I did enjoy the Rushing Beat series on the Super Nintendo. So it's like it's like you're looking at Capcom and they're just like sitting there with their Street Fighters, their Monster Hunters, and their Resident Evils, and you're wondering like, when are they gonna make a new Final Fight game, knowing that there are so many other beat 'em ups that have been getting there are new series that are getting new games in the series as well, and it's like Final Fight is just sitting there idly, and they'll be like, oh, but we do have Final Fight references to Street Fighter, but we need a new Final Fight game. That's what I'm saying.
That's the
Um,
absolute worst too, because they tease Final Fight in the Street Fighter games. Like Street Fighter 6 has so many references to Final Fight. You're like, what are you doing, Capcom? What are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to see.
They really
Like,
need to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steven also brought up the whole thing with like Konami arcade games that a lot of people may not be familiar with as well, which like Violent Storm is one that I would love to see being remade or re-released as well. But I also feel like the Simpsons arcade game, the X-Men arcade game, those two especially, because they did come out on the PS3 and Xbox 360, but I don't think it ever came out on the Southeast Asian like stores where I'm from. So yeah, we never really got them. I somehow was able to play X-Men the arcade game on my iPad when it was out on the Apple Store as well at some point. And And also Bucky O'Hare. That's another Konami arcade game that doesn't get talked about very often. It is a good beat 'em up. I remember playing it with a few friends at a country club like so many years ago and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And while I'm at it and while it's still fresh in my head, I think the Sengoku trilogy that SNK made is also worth re-releasing or making a remake of, especially the third game. I played the first game and it's a bit rough around the edges, but I think it's also worth checking out. But I would say that the Sengoku trilogy is also worth re-releasing or remaking as well.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I've never actually got a chance to play them.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out that I hope they one day port the Zebo version of Double Dragon, because that
Ooh.
one was brilliantly done. I watched a playthrough of that on Stop Skeletons from Fighting, and I was like, please port that to anything you want.
Now here's the game that should be ported to home consoles. This was only in the arcades, and when it came out here, it bombed. It had a very limited release. The first time I've ever heard about this game was through Angry Video Game Nerd. It's called Ninja Baseball Batman, where you play as these baseball players. It's a 4-player game.
Good one.
It did not do well over here when it came out.
Yeah,
Like it
like
came,
that's a game. That's a game with a pretty cool title. I would have loved to see being remade or re-released as well.
yeah, because it came out in the arcades in 1983, and IREM was the publisher. They were not doing great. So yeah, it didn't do that well. It had a limited release here in Japan. I think that there was more of them, but even then, it didn't do that well over there either. So next up, this is from Dragonflame. Is Streets of Rage 4 your top 3 beat 'em ups of all time? Really, I just want to use this question to gush about Streets of Rage 4 because it's my favorite ever and it's amazing. It's not for me, but it is a really damn good game. Steve?
Um, I would say it's a really good game because it, for me, I didn't like that they did that kind of Mr. X Nightmare add-on. They did the same thing with Shredder's Revenge, where they're like, "Oh, you bought this physical? Guess what? There's another one that
Yeah.
has the rest of the content." So I wasn't a fan of that. But I don't know. Part of me thinks like at this point, Yuzo Koshiro is passing the torch to T Lopes or T Lopez, however you pronounce it,
Yeah, T-Lopes.
because his song "Wings of Fury" in Streets of Rage 4 is my favorite like Streets of Rage song since any track from Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
I love that theme, so I was just like, if he's gonna do beat 'em ups, he's gonna get me pumped for those. And I think what helped was at least that one had that kind of like arena mode where you could just fight and see how far you could get to unlock certain characters. So I think that was a major selling point for me was Streets of Rage 4 gave you the ability to get Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 in there too. So I was like, that's neat.
All right. Eddie?
Not in my top 3, but definitely in my top 5. That game was just too perfect. Like I said, I mentioned it before. As someone who grew up with Final Fight and not really much of a Streets of Rage guy, um, I had my issues with Streets of Rage and learned to love it as an adult. But Streets of Rage 4 is just its own beast. It's perfection, and for me in like a beat 'em up game. And but yeah, it is an amazing game for sure. So
Yeah.
top 5, but not top 3.
All right. Ben?
No, and that's only because I've never played it.
Johan?
Fair.
I don't know where I would place Streets of Rage 4 in my rankings, but it's definitely one of my favorite beat 'em ups ever. And I think a lot of it was also due to the fact that it was released during COVID lockdowns as well. And
Yeah.
I remember like, we had a lot of free time to do whatever we want to do since we were stuck at home. And I remember playing that game a lot because I was also trying to unlock like the classic retro skins of all of the characters from the first 3 games. And I enjoyed it tremendously because it is very, very much expanded. There are a lot of boss fights. There's a lot of like stages as well. And this is kind of understated as well, but Streets of Rage 4 did something that the movie the fan film Kung Fury did not do, and it was actually getting me into the whole synthwave genre that I started like listening to for so many years because I mean, obviously we all, it's Streets of Rage 4 is one of those games where there were a lot of contributions from so many composers, from Yuzo Koshiro to even I think Yoko Shimomura also contributed like a track or two for that game.
She did.
But yeah, but if there's one guy who I feel needs to be talked a lot more often, it's definitely Olivier de Riviere because I think he composed a good bulk and majority of the game's OST. And my favorite track from that game was Rising Up. Not so much like the first few bits, but when it came to the elevator section and then the synth and all kicked in, that was when I was like, oh my god, this game soundtrack is amazing. And that was what led me to like listening to stuff from like I don't know, the Midnight and so many other synthwave artists where it started to become a part of me because I don't know, the music kind of like evokes like that whole 80s aesthetic and vibes that I kind of miss listening to. So I actually give a lot of credit to Streets of Rage 4's OST for especially that particular track for getting me into a genre that has become a defining part of the past few years for me as far as like the stuff that I listen to in terms of music as well. So I don't know where I would rank Streets of Rage 4 in like my top favorite beat 'em ups of all time, but it's definitely up there.
All right. So we there are 5 questions, but 2 of them were already answered earlier on. So we're gonna do 3 of these questions. So next up is with Sammy G. Other than Punch Out and Arms, do you think there's a Nintendo game series that could adapt a good beat 'em up spinoff? Well, I don't necessarily consider Arms or Punch Out fighting game. Like they're fighting games. They're not. I don't consider them to be beat 'em ups. So in terms of Nintendo, like their own like series, what could be a beat 'em up spinoff? Well, I know like we have the Hyrule Warriors and we got Fire Emblem Warriors, but I would absolutely love. I have to wonder what if we had one for Pokemon? How would that work? That's mine.
That'd be wild to see.
Yes.
Bunch of like random Pokemons, just like waves of waves just coming at you. And you gotta like take them out.
Like you're a trainer.
Charizard versus like 1,000 Jigglypuffs.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Like you have your trainer, you have Pokemon at your disposal. Like you bring out whichever Pokemon you have, and then you fight multiple waves of Pokemon. That's how I would do it. What about you, Steve?
So, if I'm gonna use especially like Turtles in Time or something like that as kind of like a base layer of it, since it's already been established, it can make a pretty good side-scrolling kind of fighting. I think Kirby lends itself already because it's already got a fighting, a wrestler. It's got the sword mode, so you can kind of already have that. Where if he picks up certain weapons, he's that type of Kirby. They could have kind of like when they do ever the surfing levels with Turtles, they could do the wheelie modes where he's on the bill, kind of like Kirby Air Riders, but taken into like a beat 'em up aspect. So I think since Kirby has already worked with Fighters Clash, Fighters 1, Fighters 2, Battle Royal, I think he's ready to do a beat 'em up now.
Yeah. Eddie?
Give me Wario. I think Wario's like the perfect character to just run around and beat people up.
He
Up in
actually
their face, shoulder tackle. And I know he had the Wario World game.
Yeah.
I've never played it, but I've seen him pile drive people. So it's like gives me Mike Hager vibes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Give me Wario in his own beat 'em up.
Yeah. Ben?
I have to agree with you in I would want to see like a Pokemon thing. And that's only because of the fact we've got so many fighting type Pokemon. You can't tell me we don't have the roster for a beat 'em up spin-off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then like I mentioned before, I think it would be really fucking funny, if you pardon my language, to have a Mario beat 'em up. Just completely out of left field.
Yes.
But
You reminded me that since like Tekken has Tekken Force, which is their beat 'em up version of Tekken that was in their games, they could do that with Pokken. They could make a Pokken 2 and have Pokken Force, and then we'd have our Pokemon beat 'em
Oh
up.
my
Right?
Oh
god.
my god, I would
Yeah.
love that. Yes.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
But I want to go back real quick and also bring up like, imagine if there was like a beat 'em up where it's Captain Falcon, but it's set like before F-Zero was even a thing, like pretty much taking him back to his bounty hunter days.
That'd
So
be pretty cool.
yeah, it would be best if it took place before F-Zero. Johan.
Yeah.
Gonna use Bucky O'Hare as like a base for this, but I would love to see a Star Fox beat 'em up. I mean, you've already got
Okay.
Fox, you've already got Falco and Slippy and Peppy, and they can both, and all four of them can have their own like stats as well. Like you know, you have Fox will be like the most well balanced one. Maybe you'll have Slippy as like the tank or something like that. So there's a lot you can do with it, and you could also put in extra characters like maybe Crystal can come in as like a bonus character that you could play as well, and she has her own. Maybe she can also be like a base character where she uses like where she is sort of like the Donatello of the group because of her long range with her staff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a Star Fox beat 'em up would be a lot of fun. Yeah, and they could yeah, there's a lot they could play with it as well. They could use characters from like Star Fox Assault or even Star Fox 2 as well, since there are more characters there. So yeah, I think and they could go to a lot of the planets that they go to as well could also make good backdrops for like stages too. So I think a Star Fox beat 'em up would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could play around. They could play around with that series, like with that game, with as much that they could do with it as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we already answered the question that Maverick asked about like the beat 'em up that got us started. But we're gonna go to Shad. Is there any beat 'em up that was so unfun that you question your love for the genre, even for just a moment? Yes, actually. And there's one in particular that I have to bring up. It was on the Super Nintendo, and that game is Bebe's Kids. That game is
I forgot about that game. God damn it.
that game is, of all the beat 'em ups I played, that one is the absolute worst beat 'em up I've ever played. Like it's so slow, like the enemies take way too long to kill, and the game itself is pretty dull. It's boring. It is like there's also like segments where it's not so much beat 'em up, but like you have to catch plates. You have to like there's certain puzzles you have to do, and they don't and they're very obtuse. They don't work. And if you fail, you go back to the very beginning of the first level. It is awful. I would never ever recommend anyone to ever play that game for any reason whatsoever. It's bad. Don't ever play Baby's Kids. Like it's just an awful beat 'em up. Like there's so like I played some mediocre beat 'em ups where at least I was either able to get through them, or at least there's some things that are entertaining about them, but there's nothing entertaining about Baby's Kids. Nothing whatsoever. Oh my god. So yeah, Baby's Kids is awful. Like the worst beat 'em up I've ever played in my life. Steve, what about you?
I'm probably gonna get flack for some of these, but I have three that were four. I'm gonna do four. Most recent one had been the Terrifier arcade game. Makes you think it's gonna be like a Scott Pilgrim clone, and it's just too simple
Yeah.
that you're just fighting the same two or three enemies, and it's like this is not how you should be doing this to get me into beat 'em ups. Coffee Crisis was another one that I was just like, it's when an indie game like beat 'em up went wrong where they didn't put enough into it. I don't know, it just seemed simple. I did not like the gimmick in 99 Vitas where it was just like all four players share 99 lives. Once it's over, it's over. I was like, you don't do that in beat 'em up. You don't do a
No.
one and done attempt. This is not Bloodborne. This is not Dark Souls. Don't do that to my beat 'em ups. And I'm sorry, Johan, but I was the most unfun for me was the takeover because it just bombarded me with too many stages. I felt like I would never be able to kind of see the end because then they'd give you that huge grid of stages and locations saying you just did this one, you have all these left to go, and I'm like, not for nothing, but it shouldn't take me 2.5 hours to beat the takeover. It really.
Yeah. Eddie?
So my time to shine here, right? You guys have been bringing up the Simpsons game a lot, a lot. I played that game as a kid, and I was like, eh. And then I fully played it as an adult, and I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's one of those games that like I wish I could understand the hype behind it, but to me, it was a very boring beat 'em up. And I just can't get into it. If I try playing it again, I tend to doze off and fall asleep, and I don't know why. But I love The Simpsons. I love what Konami does, but that Simpsons game for me ain't it.
I can see where you're going with that because some of the Konami games had that thing where no matter how many times you're pressing punch, only certain punches would register. And that was
Yeah,
a thing in beat 'em ups that I didn't like. It should be every punch register, so just like the
yeah,
enemies who hit you. So
hmm
having that where you're pressing punch in The Simpsons and you're
yeah.
not hitting every time, I could see that getting annoying. Yeah.
I
And I
could.
and
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
tried it. I tried it with like different characters and all that stuff. And I know I'm breaking your heart, Shell Shock. It's but it's one of those things where I was just like, I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Mm,
I think it's also like based on when the game was made and released as well. Like,
Mhm.
and I think it was also, it's also the same with the X-Men as well. Like, if it was a game that was made and released like in the 90s, like when they were like really at the prime and there were more characters that they could play around with, I think it would be a lot of fun. But
yeah.
like with the Simpsons and even with the X-Men arcade games, it's like you gotta actually like experience the series like in its early days to really enjoy or
Yeah.
experience the game as is when it was made at that time too.
Okay.
But
And
not
and
to
it
say that it
and
isn't
I
fun, but it's
agree.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Be-
with that. And it's one of those things where I feel like I played so many other better beat 'em up games before I played this one to its full capacity that I
Yeah.
was just like, by the time I played it, I was just like, why? I literally, I remember I did it on stream and I was just like, I just don't know why I'm not into it. And
Okay.
I can't figure it out why. And I just like, and I'm like, maybe I just I don't like this game as much as everybody else does. But it really made me question like, what am I missing here?
Okay. Okay. So let me explain about this game. So, like, in regards to the time period, because it was actually the very first Simpsons game that was ever made. Because it
Mhm.
was made right around the time where season one was almost over. So there was a lot of characters in that game that are missing, like that you would recognize from later games in the series, like later like seasons of The Simpsons. Um, but there's also characters that only ever appeared once, maybe twice, but they never showed up ever again. Like there was like that one kid from the arcade. He only ever appeared maybe like once, and that was in the episode where like when Lisa was sad, and then she like it was Moaning Lisa, where she was sad, and then she ends up meeting Bleeding Gums Murphy. But the subplot of that episode was Homer goes to the arcade so he can learn how to play this Punch Out clone, and then in order to beat Bart. Um, so that there was also like a bunch of other like characters that only ever appeared once, and some of the characters that are mainstays of the series look different because had different colors
Yeah.
because that was the colors they originally had before they changed them up. Like Barney had a green shirt and he had blonde hair, which ended up clashing with the skin because everybody had yellow skin. Well, most characters had yellow skin. Like, so what happened is that they changed his hair to brown in the show, and he was wearing like a red shirt instead of a green shirt. They would change characters drastically, or other characters had just minor changes. But other than that, like given the time period and when they developed it, they started development in the game in in like the March 1990 when they started working on it. And the reason that they decided to work on a Simpsons game is because of how successful the Ninja Turtles game was. They wanted to know what was like the next most popular cartoon in North America, and it was The Simpsons. So, because The Simpsons came out at the right place at the right time, being so popular, and Bart wore like the blue shirt because of the marketing, but that's a completely different topic as well. Um, which was elaborated on the Simpsons episode that we did. Um, and and yeah, Kolaski Supo did work on The Simpsons for the first 3 seasons, as well as 2 episodes for season 4 because they were holdovers for season 3. But anyway, um, but yeah, it's like you said, it's just given the time period of when The Simpsons was like, because it was around the time when they were blowing up in popularity, and like you had Bart mania, like because like the Turtles had Turtle Mania, the Simpsons had Bart Mania. Bart was popular. Homer was supposed to be the main character of the Simpsons, but Bart became so popular that they had to make multiple episodes dedicated to Bart, just because the thing is, it was mostly for, the Simpsons was supposed to be for like a slightly older audience at the time, but the kids loved Bart. Bart became so popular, like the early 90s was super kind to Bart. So the game made sense at the time of when when the show came out in 89, 91 was when the game came out. So it worked for that time period. For the X-Men game, the ironic thing, also hi cat, for the X-Men game, that game came out in 92, just before the animated series came out on Fox. But because what Konami had to go by was the pilot that did not get picked up. Pride of the X-Men, that was meant to be a series, but unfortunately, the pilot didn't get picked up. It was only just that 1 episode. I think they did put that pilot in the complete series of the 90s X-Men as a bonus, um, but that's all they had to go by, and that's so with the context of that, it was acceptable, despite the fact that the show came out shortly after the game did. It was still a really good game. 6 players at the time was wild. Like you just at the time you had to play it with other people. Plus, also people fighting over who gets to be Colossus because Colossus always does oh like the roar where like he just clears everything off the screen. One of the best character in the game for sure. uh, Ben, so the question for you is there any beat 'em up that was so unfun that you questioned your love for the genre, even for just a moment?
Uh, I actually didn't have one that I sprang to mind originally, but then you mentioned Bebe's Kids, and all these bad memories just came flooding back. Oh, his intentional repression.
I don't think I've ever played that game. Like I know of it, but I don't think I've ever actually like let me sit down and play it.
I played a little bit of it once for so there was this group thing that I part of. So I helped to run another website. I say help to run. I'm more of a moderator. I basically don't do anything. But one of the things that we used to do way back in the day, within like the over the 10 years or so that we've been running the site, we did something called we did riffs, where we would just take like a movie, TV shows, commercials, just some of like the worst things that we can, and just snark on them. And one of the things that I was going to be doing is I was going to do like some gameplay videos of like some of the worst games ever.
Yeah.
And one of the worst games that I did was Baby's Kids. And that one was so bad that I decided that this is too bad even for our tastes. I decided not to do anything with the recording, and we wound up just moving into some other tactic. I think I did um some of the games that I covered that weren't beat 'em ups, but I remember we covered Captain Novolin. We covered
Oh God.
Oh
uh
no.
Rex, I think it was Rex Raptor or something like that. The one where you're like kind of like the Fantastic Voyage one.
Rex
I know
Ronan.
we did that one. Uh but yeah, even along the lines of Captain Noble and Baby's Kids kind of just oh god, no, we're no. Just no.
Yep. Johan?
So the aforementioned GI Joe, of Cobra was one that I was really really disappointed with. I remember like just it was an absolute chore and slog to get through. Like the levels were very very they were very long, and playing on normal mode was a real chore to get through. I'm not even playing on the hardest difficulty, and it was super super tough. Even when playing it on easy mode as well, I was going through a rough time. Um, I know Steven brought up 99 Vidas as well, and with all the respect, I do feel that 99 Vidas was too much of a Scott Pilgrim ripoff with the sprites and all as well. And although they did have a boss that was based off Razor Ramon Hard Gay, which I thought was pretty funny, um, but and I'm probably gonna get. I feel like I'm putting a gun to my head by saying this, but the first time I played Final Vendetta, I did not really enjoy it because I felt like the combat was a bit too basic. Like I know they were trying to go with like a very they were trying to go with the old school beat 'em up vibe, but I felt like the gameplay was a bit too basic. And to top it all off, it was very, very difficult to the point that the devs were like, okay, you know what? We're going to come up with a new update or a new patch where there's like an easy mode, where there's an easy difficulty, but you're still not going to get like you're still not going to get like like a good ending or anything like that. So, yeah, it was I mean, like, I guess if Final Vendetta had like an online multiplayer mode where someone can also join me and we beat the game together, I think that would have made it a lot more fun. But because it was locked to just local co-op, um, I didn't really like enjoy it or get a lot of fun out of it because I feel like beat 'em ups like that, yeah, you can find some sort of enjoyment out of playing you can find some sort of enjoyment playing beat 'em ups on your own, but whenever you have friends playing with you or another random player online playing with you, it just brings the fun factor up to like a higher level as well. And I felt like games like that, and I kind of get why there might not be online beat 'em ups because it does cost a lot to just put up a server for online multiplayer. But yeah, if that game had online multiplayer, I think it would have been really, really, really fun for me, especially since a lot of beat 'em ups are out there where people will only make a beat 'em up to cash in on like a popular license, like the Karate Kid game, for instance, and then turn up a pretty mediocre or rush job as well. So yeah, those would be my picks, I would say.
All right. The next one is from Kyle Gamer. Do you prefer beat 'em ups that have a linear path like Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time, or RPG level up and exploration mechanics like the River City Girls? Both. Both. That's my answer. Both.
Agreed. Honestly, both. I think they both work well with each other. If you want something simple, the side-scrolling, just mindless gaming is great, and if you want something like River City Girls, it's also absolutely fantastic.
All right. Steve?
I think it comes down to how much time you have. Pick up and play. Give me my belt scrollers. Give me my level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Quick and easy. But if I want to like sit down and have like a lengthy session, especially with a friend, then give me the RPG element ones because then I'm leveling up. I'm going to towns. I'm doing a lot more. So, because there was that other game, Dragon Mark for Death. That I couldn't just pick up and play. That you have to sit down and you have to just continually play.
Yeah.
There's level up mechanics and such. I do like it when you kind of meet in the middle though, and you give us like Dungeons and Dragons did, where it's just you pick a path so you can play the game again and take the other path and do a whole new level. I do like that.
Yeah, I still gotta play Dragon Bar for Death. I have it. I never finished it. I only played a little bit of it because that's an integrates game, and it looks really good.
I recommend playing with friends so you can have a healer because it's the only way you'll kind of get further in that is get some friends in it.
Yeah, yeah. From what I've seen, like they did a really good job with it. Um, all right, so Ben, do you prefer like the classic like linear style beat 'em ups, or do you prefer like the ones with the RPG level up and exploration mechanics, like River City?
I don't have a preference with either of them. I like them both.
Yeah, yeah. Johan?
Yeah, I feel like both are good as well, but I guess it also depends on like the games themselves. Like I guess fantasy based games like your Dungeons and Dragons, your Dragon's Crown, I think those work with the RPG elements as well, where you get to level up or purchase like items to upgrade your weapons or your stats, or get food for health, those kind of stuff as well. But I also prefer the linear one where it's just like you just go from left to right, start to finish, just beat up people mindlessly, I guess, and
Yeah.
yeah, just be good with it as well. I mean, the only other thing I like about some of those games as well is the whole like different paths you choose as well. Like I know Dungeons and Dragons has that, and Golden X3 had that as well, which I really enjoyed because I had the Japanese version of Golden X3 as a kid, and it was. I feel like it's a game that gets slapped on. I mean, sure, it wasn't like well fondly remembered by a lot of people because the visuals aren't that great as well, or any of that as well. But I think for what it was worth, I think the game was still a pretty solid playthrough. It is longer, and the fact that there are branching paths make it a very replayable game too. But yeah, I think it's still worth playing. So yeah, having yeah, I kind of like both sides of the coin as well. I like the linear path, but I also like beat 'em ups with like RPG elements to it as well, just to sort of like balance things out too.
Yep. So we've answered top three, but I'm actually gonna do this for Noble Boy. I'm gonna do for four. What would be fourth and fifth for top beat 'em ups. So I already said for number one was Yakuza 0, number two was Shredder's Revenge, number three was The Simpsons, number four for me would be Streets of Rage 4, and number five would be damn, that one's gonna be tough. I'm probably gonna go with Castle Crash. I kind of like Castle Crashers more than Scott Pilgrim, to be honest. So Castle Crashers. That's fourth and fifth. Steve.
Well, let's see. I already mentioned River Ransom, the D&D collection, and the Warriors. If I had to put two more, I think just for all around the total package, I'm going to put ironically Streets of Rage 4 in number 4.
Yeah.
Because it is up there. And I think the other one is a little bit cheating because it's not something you can do on anything but PC. But as a fan of TMNT in the 80s, Rescue Palooza is one of the best fan games I've played, and is such a love letter with all those audio clips that they took from the cartoons. It's my favorite fan game beat 'em up.
Nice. Eddie.
So I think I accidentally, I guess you could say, named them my top five when we were mentioning about the top three. So but no, in no particular order, just to rephrase or just to re-mention them again. Turtles in Time, Final Fight 1, The Warriors, Streets of Rage 4, and Ninja Warriors. Yeah,
All
those would
right.
be my top five right there.
All right. Ben.
Um, I think didn't we already ask that question in regards to the top
We did
games?
the top three, but what would be your
Top
fourth?
three.
But what would be your fourth and fifth?
I think I already mentioned this. I don't have any particular games. I said I mentioned River City Ransom, King of Dragons, Turtles in Time, Shredder's Revenge, the three Mighty Morphin Power Ranger games by Bandai Natsume and Banpresto, both the movie and just the regular MMPR. So,
Okay.
and then like I mentioned, hack and slash among those, specifically Dynasty Warriors 5, 7, and 8. Their Empires spins off. The Samurai Warriors games, Warriors Orochi, and then all three Hyrule Warriors games as well. So,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Johan, what will be your fourth and fifth?
I'm starting to like lump all of the Streets of Rage games into one because I just remembered that Streets of Rage remake is a thing, and I absolutely love that fan game so much because of how deep and how lengthy it is, and the different paths you can pick as well is a lot of fun. Um, I don't know what my fourth and fifth are, but I would definitely put Dungeons and Dragons: Shadow over Mystara on there because I remembered as a kid playing it very briefly in an arcade at Tokyo Disneyland of all places, and just enjoying the short time I had with it. And when I got to finally play the game on the PS3 when it came out as the Chronicles of Mystara collection, that was when I really had a lot of fun with it. And I would also have to put the original Final Fight because as much as I like Final Fight 2 and Final Fight 3 for what it's worth, I think the original is still the best one, especially if you play the arcade version. I did enjoy Final Fight CD because of the Red Book audio and the remastered, or should I say, remixed tracks of all the songs in the games, which gives it that very 80s buddies cop kind of like action movie vibe as well, which I really enjoyed. But it was a bit too difficult for me. I couldn't complete the game as a kid, so yeah, I kind of preferred the first game on the arcade, which I think is still like the best way to play it. Yeah.
All right. All right. Good stuff. All right. So, with that, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for being a part of this.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's always a great time here.
Yeah,
It was
Lot of
fun.
absolutely. So, especially you, Johan, since this is your first time on my show, and I'm really happy that that you made it through.
Yep.
So before we sign off, Steve, where can we find you?
You can find me on the Zenspath podcast on zenspath.com, on all audio streaming platforms as well if you want the audio version. We recommend the video version because we always show off a lot of pickups of stuff we've bought, weird things and such like that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of beat 'em ups, there's these things called the TMNT arcade cruisers that are they just make a sound, but they look like the arcade machines, and I loved that. So
Yep.
even though it's a kid's toy, I had to have it. But we're actually going to be doing our 200th episode in a couple weeks, about 2 weeks, I think. So we're asking for people to go on our Discord and kind of suggest any questions you've ever wanted to ask a gamer who has stuff like that in the background or anything like that.
Yep.
Like, no questions off limits for us. So it's going to be a good time.
All right. And Eddie, where can we find you?
You can find me pretty much everywhere under the name Eddie_Fuerte, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, Twitch. And yeah, it's looking forward to a Merry Metroid Christmas, where we play some Metroid during Christmas and perfect timing for Prime 4. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right. Ben, where can we find you?
My Twitch channel is www.twitch.tv/Mr. Ben. That's MISTAH Ben, all one word. That's when I go live. I usually am live on Saturdays and Sundays, as well as the occasional Wednesday.
Awesome. And where can we find you, Johan?
Everywhere that you can find me under Johan_Singa. That's basically where you can find me as well on Twitch, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, just about everywhere. Yeah, so feel free to follow me anywhere and everywhere you find me. And yeah, looking forward to more fun times ahead.
All right. And you can find me pretty much just about anywhere. Well, I'm mainly on Discord and Blue Sky, but when it comes to streams, I'm on Twitch, and then I post my VODs up on YouTube on my VOD archive channels. But my main channel is where the podcast and reaction videos go, and everything else. Streaming usually like Monday through Thursdays with the occasional Friday or Sunday streams, like that usually starts from 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern till midnight. So next week is going to be a discussion about the series that actually one of the video game series that actually helped bring us the ESRB ratings, and that series is Mortal Kombat. We're going to be talking about that next week at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's the next episode shared with Shellshock. All right, so once again, Steve, Eddie, Ben, Johan, thank you guys for being a part of this podcast. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having us here.
An absolute pleasure.
Great.
So until the next episode, make sure to take care of yourselves. Be awesome. Stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check them on them as always. Fight for everlasting peace. And I'll see you guys next time. And y'all have a good night, everybody.
All right. Let you go.
Cheers.
Adios.
Thanks for watching Sharing with Shellshock Season 4. Your name will be inscribed in the pages of podcast history.